Hi folks, my name is James. I'm the founder and director of Learn Photography Company. We're the largest and most successful hands-on photography class company in the world, and we do this by two ways. First of all, we make sure that photography is easy to understand and fun, and second of all, we always emphasize hands-on practice. Now today I'm going to be talking about looking at used lenses, how to find them and what to look for and what's important to check on them. Just a reminder, if you have some points yourself, make sure you leave comments in the comment section below, and remember to subscribe to our videos. Buying used lenses is a great way to get better value from your dollar. How do you find them though? Well, here in Alberta, we use the usual suspects, things like eBay, Amazon, and Kijiji. Sometimes local camera stores will also have a consignment of used lenses as well. You can check other local marketplace stores such as Gumtree, Trading Post, Craigslist. It really depends on where you live. So one place that's hard to find, but a great resource sometimes is on Facebook. So here in Calgary, there's something called Photographer's Garage Sale. It's gotten quite large and kind of it's Alberta centric, but really there's postings from all over the world there. I personally like local sites because I can actually inspect and try the lenses. Now, I've purchased a couple lenses online through eBay, and one of them didn't focus properly, which we'll talk about, and that cost me $60 to send back. And the other one that I bought broke in 3 months. So there certainly is something to be said about seeing it in person. So when you go look at a lens, what are you looking for? What we've done is we've broken what to look for down into two sections. We've broken it down into form and function, and let's start with function and see what you're checking on the lens. So when we look at about the function of lens, we want to check a few things. One of the first things we want to do is check compatibility. Now, most of the time you should be able to do that online to make sure that what you're buying is exactly it's going to work for your camera. I'll give you a classic case. So in this case, I have a old 28 to 80 millimeter what generation D lens for the Nikon, and this one is a newer G lens. And if I actually put this particular lens on here, one of the first things you're going to hear is that even when I try using autofocus and I try to press it, there's nothing happening. That's because while this lens will work on this particular camera, it's not going to focus. That's one of the things that you figure out over time. In fact, just a side note, and I did cover this in the last video regarding what all those numbers on the lenses mean. This particular one has, and I hope you can see this here, it's almost like a silver dot. That dot is basically a screw drive which the camera drives. So if you have a higher end Nikon, this is a Nikon D3100, but if you had like a D750 or a D600, it's going to be able to operate that particular lens. In this case, it's not because it doesn't have that extra drive. So Nikon is definitely moving away from it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that in fact I'm actually going to pretend I'm going to look at this one. So we're going to use this one for the rest of the time, and I'm going to show you some of the tests that we're going to do. So one of the first things we want to do is obviously check to make sure it focuses, and it's sort of been getting there. So I'm going to use this as a subject here, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to check to make sure it focuses from all the different focus points. So don't forget, for your digital one, you want to be able to choose the focus points. Let's try all the different focus points, and let's try from different lengths and different focal lengths as well to make sure that that is going to work. And I know that in particular this lens works because we actually use it, but it just gives you a good example of what to do. Another thing you can do, I don't have that ability here, but definitely try tracking. So change your, if you're using a Nikon, you can change it from AFS, autofocus single to autofocus continuous, or AFC. If you're using a Canon, you can change it to AI servo. And what you can do is you can have a dog or a cat or a person walk back and forth towards you and just make sure that the lens does focus smoothly and cleanly at different focal lengths. So the next thing that you want to check for, so that's the first one, to make sure it's focused. By the way, and this is such an important point, is when I actually take the shot here, one of these days, I said to my camera, when I actually take the shot here, oh, this is embarrassing. Why is it not, let's try it from back here. There we go. So an interesting thing with this one is a particular 18 to 105 lens. I guess the minimal focal distance is not particularly that good, but that's okay. So again, just a reminder, if you're actually taking a shot and it doesn't work like that and you look like a little bit of a buffoon because you can't take a shot, it's probably because you're in too tight. All right, and you just take a step back, and that's basically what it did. I basically kept zooming out and moving my body back until I could take the shot. Anyways, so one really important thing with that focus, like I was saying, is when you take the shot and it focuses, zoom in to make sure that's actually in focus. Because a lot of times, especially with aftermarket lenses, what happens is it beeps, it sounds like in focus, you take the shot and then it looks blurry. It's not blurry because of you, it's blurry because sometimes the software in the lens doesn't properly work with the software in the body. And so a lot of times it needs some extra calibration. But that's something that you want to know before you buy the lens so you don't get stuck. In fact, I had and you're going to find out about this, but I had a lens I bought that didn't focus properly. I couldn't fix it, and I had to spend $60 to return that lens for a loss of $60 with no use of lens. So that is something that you want to check. Again, first point we want to check is the focus to make sure it's focusing on different modes, on different focal lengths, and make sure it's clear, so whatever it is, okay? The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the camera can change the aperture. So whether it's an older school like this, where well, most of your cameras that you're going to be dealing are going to be an automatic change of focus, or whether you need to change the aperture, or whether you need to change the aperture in the actual physical camera, 99.9% of the time these days, it's going to be done on the camera. Let's try that. So I want to manipulate my depth of field here, okay? So let's just take a quick peek and see if we can do that. So I'm going to take two shots right away. I'm going to take one at f-stop 3.5 and probably one at f-stop 11 to 18 and see what they look like. And what I'm looking for here is I just want to make sure that the background indeed changes with the different aperture, and in this case it does. So I'll put that online so you can see it and go from there. Okay. So those are the two big things that we're looking for. We're looking to make sure that it focuses smoothly, it focuses cleanly, it focuses on what you're supposed to focus on, and second of all, we're checking to make sure that the aperture works as well. So that's the function part, but what about the form? We talked about function and form. Well, what are we looking for here? So there's a few different things that are critical to make sure that the lens properly works. So I'm going to use this older D model again to describe that. So one of the first things we're going to look at is that condition of the glass, okay? So there's a few things, and you can see that this one's not really focusing properly, or not really moving smoothly, excuse me. But you can see in the glass, and I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but the glass tells a lot. So a lot of times you're going to have dust on the outside. That's okay. You're going to have a little bit of dust on the inside too. That's okay. All right. What you're really looking for is you're really looking for haze or mold or other things like that. Let me just actually open this up for you. Haze or mold or other things like that that will affect the clarity. The other thing you're looking for are scratches. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that one of my favorite lenses actually got a scratch. It's a little bit ironic actually, because what I did was I put a UV filter on the front of it to try to protect the lens. The UV filter actually broke in transit, and as a result, the glass from what was supposed to protect my lens actually ended up scratching the surface a little bit. And so there is a little bit of a scratch across the top. Again, does it affect my pictures? At first glance, it doesn't, but you can bet that it's going to show up. So especially on long exposure and things like that. So you can bet one of the first lenses I'm going to look at probably replacing is going to be that 18 to 35 millimeter lens. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the clarity and the quality of the glass. We're looking to inside. So I'm going to put my eye up, believe it or not, and I'm looking inside to see if I can see any blemishes or any mold. Anytime it's hazy, not a good thing. Anytime you see any growth in there, again, not a good thing, so avoid those lenses. All right. Another thing you want to look for is you want to look for these contact points here. So these contact points are I guess how your lens interacts with your camera body, and these have to be clean. So if you see any kind of corrosion, any type of green growth or anything like that, again, something to think about staying away from the particular lens. So those are some tips on what to look for in a used lens. So just a reminder, if you have any tips that are important for our readers, for our viewers to know, leave them in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our videos. Now, don't forget, if you want to improve your photography, please do consider Learn Photography Company. We have some great options for online classes at online.cameracourses.ca. The other option and the better option is to go see our franchise owners across the country. They're a passionate group, they love what they do, and they're amazing at teaching photography and unleashing your creative potential. My name is James from Learn Photography Company. Have yourself a great day.